Welcome to The Rabbit Hole, Politics and Prose, a production of LibertyNation.com, hosted by Mark Angelides.
On the last edition of The Rabbit Hole, we discussed the first three of the top 5 dystopian novels, and more importantly, how for a book to be part of this classic genre, it needs to be possible, and perhaps more so, it needs to be immediate, as in we can see the elements are unfolding around us, and the precursors to the tyranny evident in our own times. The last 2 books I want to discuss are unique in this realm because of how very close they are to what we see happening around us today. They're not merely fascinating and frightening potentialities, but warnings of what is taking place right now. Every few years since its publication in 1953, fearmongers have warned that Fahrenheit 451 by science fiction author Ray Bradbury was on the brink of becoming a reality. In some ways they were right. We've seen the banning of books or the suppression of ideas in one form or another with startling regularity. But before, it was always specific and targeted. Now something very different is happening. The innocuous and innocent are under attack. I'm not talking about a handful of Dr. Seuss books or the campaign against Harry Potter author J.K. Rowling for her views on transgenderism, but rather the insidious usage of lived experience to demand censorship. Is lived experience important? Certainly, but only to the individual who has lived it. It is by its nature subjective and not in any way useful as an objective measure. It may surprise you to hear that nursery rhymes such as Jingle Bells and Baa Baa Black Sheep are now facing the progressive axe. Why? Well, that's a somewhat complex issue. Baa Baa Black Sheep was, as far back as 1986, considered racially offensive because it highlights a black sheep, which is often used as a way of pointing to an outsider, as in the black sheep of the family. Yet this mid-18th century ditty provides no evidence of racial animus. In fact, black wool was highly prized at the time because it could be processed without the need for dye. The argument against Jingle Bells is a little more ludicrous. An American educator, who apparently teaches teachers, claims that the bells in question refer not to those on a sleigh, but rather to black minstrels. Perhaps she's never actually heard the song. The point here is that the excuse to sideline or outright ban songs, books, poems, or nursery rhymes, and indeed speech, can now be an individual's subjective perspective. Fahrenheit 451 puts the point of this perfectly. Quote, "If you don't want a man unhappy politically, don't give him 2 sides to a question to worry him. Give him one. Better yet, give him none. Let him forget that there is such a thing as war. If the government is inefficient, top-heavy, and tax-mad, better it be all those than that people worry over it. Peace, Montag. Give the people contests they win by remembering the words to more popular songs, or the names of state capitals, or how much corn Iowa grew last year. Cram them full of non-combustible data. Chock them so damn full of facts that they feel stuffed, but absolutely brilliant with information. Then they'll feel they're thinking. They'll get a sense of motion without moving, and they'll be happy, because facts of that sort don't change." End quote. By erasing or limiting the types of information we receive, we're being mentally castrated. Yes, we know more facts and small pieces of information than we ever did, but we're losing the ability to see in scope and scale. Instead of asking whether something has inherent value, we're asking, is it offensive to anyone, or will these words set the woke mob upon me? It's the magician's art of distraction. Fahrenheit 451 also detailed this bait and switch with the TV walls and the faux harmony of the family sitcom. This book remains one of the greatest in the genre because it's speaking directly to us now, telling us what is happening and what we must do. The other book that is regarded as an epitome of the genre is Aldous Huxley's Brave New World. Written in 1931, this book shows us the end result of our present actions. We're divided by groups, alphas, betas, gammas, in the same way. Those in power now seek to categorize us by race, gender, or orientation. It's almost as if the so-called class warfare that begot the labor movement never really happened. We now have classes assigned to us based not upon our earnings or our social status or who our families were, but on our immutable characteristics. Some are victims, some are victimizers, regardless of individual actions. Those unhappy with their state-enforced designation are considered defective. Those who are unhappy with the world around them or their meaningless lives devoid of rigorous pursuit are deemed sick or treated with the latest drug of choice, soma. In the book, the family connection is not merely discouraged, it's a thing of the past. Think of how disgusted the citizens were when they find that John the Savage actually has a mother. The people are encouraged to be promiscuous and not to form attachments to one another, but to focus on naught but pleasure, distractions, and work. Are you finding any of this familiar? Huxley writes, quote, "A really efficient totalitarian state would be one in which the all-powerful executive of political bosses and their army of managers control a population of slaves who do not have to be coerced because they love their servitude." End quote. And what of safe spaces? What of the government stepping in to try and remove simple challenge, when in fact it is challenge and adversity that makes us better and stronger? Is math too hard? Don't worry, it must be racist. We won't grade you on math. Was someone mean to you at work? Please don't panic. We'll use the full force of the state and the inbuilt societal pressures from social media to demonize that person so you never have to have a confrontation ever again. Are we creating a world of people who are secure from failure? Back to Brave New World for a moment when discussing trials and tribulations. Quote, "The savage nodded, frowning. You got rid of them. Yes, that's just like you, getting rid of everything unpleasant instead of learning to put up with it. Whether 'tis better in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against the sea of troubles and by opposing, end them. But you don't do either, neither suffer nor oppose. You just abolish the slings and arrows. It's too easy." End quote. And as we move towards our own brave new world, it's worth thinking about Ray Bradbury's when related to the digitalization of books and knowledge. During an interview, he said, quote, "I still love books. Nothing a computer can do can compare to a book. You can't really put a book on the internet. 3 companies have offered to put books by me on the net. And I said, if you can make something that has a nice jacket, nice paper with that nice smell, then we'll talk. All a computer can give you is a manuscript. People don't want to read manuscripts. They want to read books. Books smell good. They look good. You can press it to your bosom. You can carry it in your pocket." End quote. Here's the thing. A digital manuscript can be scrubbed from millions of homes with the touch of a button. It can be erased, censored, cut, changed, and cast down the memory hole in the blink of an eye. But a book, a physical book, can, as Bradbury says, be held close to the breast, passed from one hand to another, read in secret if needs be. And the ideas can be discussed, the sources checked, and the legacy of that literature will live on regardless of what those in power may decree. That's the dystopia we face, and that's why dystopian novels are so important. They teach us the one thing that the overarching tyranny would never allow: how to resist the tyrant. As Bradbury says, a book is a loaded gun. And we all know that tyrants first disarm the citizens. Thank you for being here. The Rabbit Hole is a production of LibertyNation.com. I'm Mark Angelides.
Who are we? We are Americans that believe in liberty. We are a project of the nonprofit One Generation Away. We are patriots who apply the founding principles to the issues of today.
And they keep moving the goalposts on us.
We are educators and commentators who love America and the Constitution. Who are we? We are Liberty Nation.
The Rabbit Hole, Politics and Prose, a LibertyNation.com production.
Available at Libsyn, Apple iTunes, Stitcher, on Roku, and other fine podcast providers.